There are several challenges to working within a creative industry, creative job. We're told we shouldn't want to be artists or composers or actors or directors. We should get real jobs, become a doctor or a lawyer or an electrician or anything that's a more normal, more secure job. The thing is that many people who want to work creatively do so because they have a drive and a passion. They choose to do so because it's important to them. And many people who end up successfully getting creative jobs get great satisfaction and often great joy out of being able to work creatively. And I think that is one of the key issues. For some reason, because creative people actually enjoy what they do, it's almost like everybody else wants to punish us. Oh, well, you enjoy what you do, so you should be happy to do it for free. Or you should be happy to have a job in a creative studio that's paying you barely what you would have gotten paid working in a fast food factory because you enjoy yourself. So on one hand, we're being told, get a real job. And on the other hand, we're being told, we're never going to allow for this to be a real job because we're not going to pay you as though it's a real job. In some cases, it's almost the exact same people who would say, don't work in a creative industry, who may well be a manager for somebody who needs a creative person and then decides they don't want to pay you properly. So I don't understand why a role, a career, a job that is something that you get great pleasure out of automatically means you should be disqualified from being treated correctly, being paid correctly, having the same sorts of work conditions that every other job has. We're told it's not a real job by the same people who refuse to allow it to be a real job. I have run my own business for over 10 years now. There are various aspects of that, but I'll stick to one as an example. I create sound effects which go into libraries, which are then sold to the likes of Skywalker Sound, Disney, Warner Brothers. Those are a product. My business is creating and selling a product. It's no different to if I was making smartphones or pancakes. You make a thing, you make it available. If it is attractive to somebody, they will pay you for it. Thank you very much. You've done the business. The risk is on me because I've chosen what to make, just like the pancakes. I've chosen which market I'm going to address it to, just like the smartphone. And if it's not up to quality or if it's not something that's appealing, I won't get the business, I won't get the income. I take the risk as a business person to do that. Now, when somebody puts out a call for an artist, or a composer, or a photographer, or a dancer, or an actor, or a director, they are a customer looking for a service. It is a very, very different equation. And as soon as they are a customer, then they should have the very real and very reasonable expectation of treating those services like they would anything else. So where we have things like mass calls for people to submit things and they are done, or spec work and various other things where it's like, oh, we want you to submit a completed item, whether it's a completed painting or a completed piece of music, and oh, if we select it, if we decide we're going to use it, we'll pay you for it. Really? So where else in the world do we get to do that? Show me a restaurant where I can go into the restaurant and basically say, I would like these 10 dishes. I would like the cook to make these 10 dishes, and then I will sample a little bit of each one, and then I'll eat the one that I really enjoy, and I'll pay for that one. I'm not going to pay for the other 9. I approach a builder. I want the builder to build me 10 houses. I'll try them all out, and then I'll decide which one I want to live in, but I won't pay for the other 9. I could go through endless examples of this, whether it be an actual product or a service. Only the creative industries tend to have this thing where it's like it's acceptable to ask somebody to submit something and they'll decide whether it's up to scratch or not. They'll decide whether they want to use it or not. They'll have a bit of a trial taste. They'll decide whether they like the taste of it, and then they'll decide whether they can consume it or not. I'm sorry, but this is unreasonable on every single level, And it's essentially bordering on theft. It's like me ordering 10 dishes in a restaurant, only eating one of them, sampling all the other ones, and deciding I'm only going to pay for one of them. The restaurant would very, very quickly have the police on the phone and be wanting me to explain to the police why on earth I'm not paying for those meals. And they would be quite right to do so. So this is yet another layer of this: get a real job. The industry doesn't pay very well, have very good conditions, so you shouldn't work for them. But then quite often it's those in charge of the industry, the people in charge of production groups, the people in charge of events, the people in charge of galleries, the management, who are deciding to take advantage of our love and desire to do a creative job. So they know there are people who really want to do this, and so they take advantage of that. Now, I've had people defend this. Oh, you don't have to take the work. You know, it's your choice whether you take that work or not. And I'm sorry, but that is utter rubbish. That is just utter rubbish. That is like saying my qualifications are to work in a large department store. That's my qualifications, that's my skill set. And I need to feed my family and pay my mortgage. And then 4 supermarkets or 4 department stores advertise for positions. I don't need to take those positions. Well, yes, I do, to survive. And if all of those positions that are advertised are all barely paying enough for me to survive, then I have no choice but to accept one of those. And people who are working in creative industries, it's only those in very privileged positions who are getting regular work. And often I see that as a trend. The people who are sitting there defending, oh, you don't have to take those jobs, are the ones who have got regular work. That's a really, really weak position to be arguing. Just because we love what we do, just because we're going to put our passion and dedication into what we do, is no right at all for somebody to take that as a cue to take advantage of us, to manipulate us, and especially to take advantage of those in the weakest positions. People who are new to the industry, who are just starting out, people who might be switching across from one creative field to another and are trying to get a leg into that particular area. Those are the people who are the most vulnerable and who those sort of spec jobs are aimed at. Now, I want to be very, very clear. This does not mean everybody. There are plenty of professional organizations, studios, management, producers, directors who would never think of taking advantage of the creative people that they may interact with. I have worked with many people over 20 years in this industry, and I have worked with some outstanding people who, before I've even wanted to offer what my daily rate is or my hourly rate is, they've turned around and offered me a rate that has been absolutely fantastic. So there are people out there that value creativity, that value what we do. But sadly, there are people who do not. And sadly, often, it's even our own friends and family who tell us not to try in the first place, just to get a safe, ordinary, everyday job. And I will mention this time and time again in this series. If I'd done a normal, everyday job, it would have killed me. I do this because I have to do this, because this is this is not part of who I am. This is who I am. This defines my identity in so many ways. And anybody that would take advantage of that or would encourage me away from that really does not understand what it is to have something that is so critically important to you that you will dedicate your entire life to it.